Welcome back, everybody, to wow, what a week in Union soccer history. I'm coming live from Germany because the Union's play has driven me right to the Bavarian beer halls so I can get over some of this. Again, I'm Matt Gandazzik, former president of the Sons of Ben, and I'm joined with former ex-capo Adam Booth and, of course, forever legend Sebastian Latou. Gentlemen, how are you coping with this past 4 days of Union soccer?
Yeah, I just want to move on and be Saturday right now. So hopefully we forget about it.
I'm still,
Adam, have you remembered any of this?
oh, I'm gonna remember all of this for the rest of my life, unfortunately. But the same way I remember the 2002 MLS Cup with an excruciating detail. But I believe a palate cleanser is coming Saturday, so that'll help me out a lot.
Boy, do we hope so. Yeah, so let's get dive into it. We were at Vancouver. And let's just say Brian White, Sebastian Berhalter, Tristan Blackman, Thomas Mueller, they just kind of had their way with the Union with what I have to say is an epic belt to ass beating. To take an Eagles term, they whooped us. Weird starting lineup, and Seba, you watched this game. What did you? What do you think? Bradley was just like, hey, let's save up everybody for the U.S. Open Cup, or what did you make of that lineup? I mean, he's done it before, but it just didn't seem like the strongest option that we had.
Yeah, I mean, he was for sure not maybe the full starting 11, but we know he did it before, this season, and he worked pretty well. So I guess he was his mentality to kind of get into that game, knowing that, yeah, with the travel and, like you say, Open Cup, coming out right after to try to rest some leg, playing on turf. And, we talk about it, like we came back on a good win in Cincinnati, which was a huge, thing to give a little caution to the team. So I think he just took it that way and try, something he had been doing all season. But the only thing at that time, he kind of bite us in a butt, and we are not as good as the games that we kind of mixed up the starter and the person coming from the bench.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, also Vancouver, I thought all the rest that they had, they might be rusty, when you're not playing as much. But man, they came out firing. Adam, your thoughts on 7-0? I don't even know how to say that. Like, is there a Spanish word for that? Like Dulce Cero, or like a Canadian word for 7
Look,
nothing?
we've done this to other clubs before, so I guess eventually you get your taste of your own medicine, hello DC United. But I think one of the things about this particular game was, and hand up, I was the first person to say rotate a squad, make sure that you have the best legs that you have going into Nashville, because frankly, for me across the board, that game was infinitely more significant than this game against Vancouver, mainly just because the cushion that you have in the Eastern Conference right now, it's not a lot, but it is enough, especially with you owning the tiebreaker now against Cincinnati, that you can afford to possibly not throw a game, but not give the best effort just to, possibly try to go for the US Open Cup. That was my philosophy from the get-go. And once I saw the lineup, I kind of felt that that's what they were going for. Look, I think also 7-0 happens in a vacuum sometimes, I don't think, it doesn't happen often, but I think if we look at the numbers straight up and be just like, man, that's ridiculous. But if you look at, well, here was a penalty and this was a penalty and this was like, it came to a point where you're like, yeah, Nathan, you have a right back playing center back and all of these things going into you have a man who I think we know at this point has no business playing right back. It just wasn't necessarily saying we put out the best union possible and got shellacked. We put out a rotation squad, which is similar to how I would probably play FIFA in 2012, trying to just figure if I can place somebody in a hole, like, putting Aaron Wheeler at center back, that kind of thing. Just trying to figure something out. And didn't work. It was a disaster class. I know a couple of people who are Mueller fans who are all happy for him succeeding at the highest level. But beyond that, that was a burn the tape game in every conceivable way. It was so bad that I didn't even want to dwell on it because it was just like, well, what are you going to learn from that? Not a thing. That was just a disaster. Disasters happen. Sometimes you lose by 40 in basketball. It happens.
Yeah, and historically, the Union have never lost by more than 4 goals in MLS play until that game. And I think the worst was maybe 6-0 against a Mexican team in Leagues Cup or one of those competitions. So yeah, that doesn't happen, in the history of the club. And holy crap, Bradley was just, you know, his quote: "They exposed and exploited us. Today we lost the battle, the war, the fight. The sun rises again tomorrow, and we move on." And they moved on to Nashville. And that wasn't very good either because Nashville takes the third win in 3 games this year. I mean, I was calling it the double revenge game, but now, holy crap. I mean, Nashville beats us what, in March? They ruined me and Sebastian's July 4th weekend with traveling, and now they took away the US Open Cup. I mean,
Just stop talking.
unbelievable.
Just stop
Like,
talking to Nashville. All your revenge games. Stop labeling any games against Nashville anything. They're just stop. I don't believe in jinxes, but man, the evidence is piling up at this point.
yeah, Seba, your thoughts on Nashville? I mean, I know you probably touched on it on the TV show today. Your thoughts on that US Open Cup game? Because I mean, people can blame like bad refereeing, but it just wasn't good anywhere.
No, I mean, he definitely were lacking a lot of offense in the first half. We didn't have a shot on target, barely, try to make the goalkeeper who never played a game for Nashville make a save, and he was kind of a bit shaky. And I guess on most of the first goal is where we score with Quinn Sullivan coming in the second half. So now it was, yeah, a little bit lack of offense. You can see the guys kind of like playing a bit too fast, like one touch or to combine and stuff, taking their time. I thought we could do better, like as well defensively. I feel it's just like we kind of fell asleep on the long throw, gives the lead. Nothing, a lot happened before that, and yeah, like you say, I think the second goal is very unfortunate because I don't think it's a foul on Kai Wagner, and you can see like the frustration a lot about the guys starting with Damiani getting an early yellow and kind of already you can see like the frustration starting from the team, and then it could kind of like change that a little bit. Like let's not focus about the referees. They are going to be who they are. Sometimes it go your way, but knowing that you are the Philadelphia Union, you play away, you are first in the league. Referee wants usually, it's kind of advantage maybe sometimes like underdog, and it's what everybody is right now because we are still first in the East. So yeah, I will say, can we see less frustration and more like like energy into the game to try to win it back, stay together, like more positive than just to try to, like you say, point the finger at other stuff happening around us, which some you can control, but some you can't, especially like this foul, it was not a foul. And second goal happened. I thought like the momentum in the second half when Quinn came on was good. The goal, and then we have maybe one or two chance, who are like miss, the 2-2. And of course, at the end, like Surridge class, right now is the guy is working on clouds, whatever he touched, go in the back of the net. So they knew already before the games that he was, of course, that guy and Mukhtar to watch, but especially Surridge, and he puts three in the back of the net. So if you look, you're like, all right, defensively, we let him, we let him score on us, and he was kind of the thing. So we need to be better defensively on the guys who are like the best, and I think offensively too, like it's overall, I feel like we need to just raise the bar, and I think yeah, it's a good wake up call to finish the season and kind of say, hey, we are still first, but you need to put back the work that the guy have been doing from the beginning of the year, and I think they will on Saturday.
Yeah, this was a rough, to say the least, 2 games, but like you said, because of a little luck with the other MLS teams, we're still in first place. We're still in first for the Supporter Shield, so it's not like jump off the bandwagon and go crazy yet, but they need a wake-up call, and the offense needs a kick in the ass, is what I think. Adam, you thoughts on Nashville, and then just general how we get through going to the rest of the year. We'll get into the upcoming game, but your thoughts. What do we need to do after seeing this Nashville game and even the Vancouver game? Like, what does the Union need to do to make sure we salvage the season since we still are in first place.
Yeah, I feel like the word salvage is a little harsh there. I still think when you're in, like, you're really in control of your own destiny for at least one trophy this year, if not putting yourself in a prime position for two. Um, First and foremost, I think when I was talking to a couple of my friends before the game, I was like, this is going to be the toughest test, I think, for the rest of the season for the Union. I do believe Charlotte is also going to be difficult, but depending on that point in the season, you hope that game matters a lot less than it does now. But I thought away at Nashville was going to be the toughest test for the rest of this season. And because look, the fact of the matter is Nashville is in the top three for a reason. They've been one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference all year long. Surridge is ex on fire. He's probably going to win the Golden Boot ahead of Lionel Messi, which I don't think if you asked Sam Surridge when he was a child if that was going to be a possibility for him to be in the same league as Messi and for him to outscore Messi, but he's in that position right now. That game was winnable. That game was at least tieable, and you had opportunities. Yeah, that was not a foul, but again, that life comes at you fast, and the Eagles were not. The Eagles' fall started against the Kansas City Chiefs, and we're not going to call that. Life comes at you fast. So I'm like, look, that game was tough, but I did not go into it with the utmost confidence, and it had nothing to do with Vancouver. I just think that type of a game, especially a semifinal with a club like Nashville, who is definitely hungry for silverware as much as the Union are, that's tough. That's a tough win. That's a tough place to go into and try to win. So I don't blame so much of it on the Union per se as them just being bad as much as Nashville is very good, but you have to stop the amount of shots on goal. You've given up between Vancouver and Nashville. You gave up 30 shots total and 20 of them on target. That's insane for a two-game stretch to have that many shots on target. And it just seems for a keeper like Andrew Rick, who, again, I think he's very good. I think he's very capable, but that is a lot of, targeting from guys like, I don't know, Thomas Mueller and, Sam Surridge and some of the best strikers in MLS and probably some of the best strikers on the planet. Like, he's not getting these shots from the third striker on Austin right now. So that being said, I think you have to figure out a way to stop getting so many shots on you. And I think it has to become the defensive midfield as much as a center backing issue. Look, you lack depth at center back, and it's very obvious at this point. And we've talked to the people who run this club, and they said that they tried very hard to get some depth at center back, and it just didn't get over the line. But now it's pretty glaring your lack of depth at that position. You have enough strikers, you know, to rotate for two different squads. The problem is if you don't have enough people in the back end to get the ball in the possession and make sure that the other guys are not outscoring you, it doesn't matter if you've spent all of the money on the top flight of your strikers because it does Bruno or Ure or these guys are just not going to get the ball anyway. I think you're still in a good position to win the Supporter Shield in my eyes. You have a favorable schedule down the stretch. You still have a team like New England that you've been very successful against recently. You have a team like DC that you've been very successful against recently. You have a team like New York where you don't know where they're going to be, but that's a very winnable game as well. So I think you are in a position to win the Shield. And it shouldn't matter so much that this little stretch and this blip happened. Same reason why, look, the Mets swept the Phillies, and then the Phillies won the division before anyone else. Bad stretches happen. I just think if there are concerns and there are things about the union that have been exposed, these are the things that need to be addressed in this next transfer window. You have to figure out what your center back depth is, and you have to live in a universe where Alejandro Bedoya never plays right back again.
Yeah. And speaking of, future and I don't know, sadness maybe, just food for thought. This might be the last US Open Cup that we play in for the next 2 or 3 years. Let that sink in because next year we're definitely playing the Leagues Cup the way it's set up. So we may not have a shot at the US Open Cup and who knows when you want that because that means you're having a bad year to do that unless US soccer and MLS come up with something. So this might be the last time we go deep into the US Open Cup for the near future because hopefully the future's bright for the team. So that's just food for thought. But at
That's so
least,
weird. That's just such a weird, sorry to interrupt, but that's just such a
yeah,
weird concept of the more successful you are, you're just now eliminated from another company. Like it's like I know it's like the Conference League, or it's like, but it's not set up that way. Like if you were going to tell me that the Champions League and then the Europa League and then the Conference League was set up that way, where it was like Leagues Cup, then US Open Cup, but that's not how it's set up. They're all equal championships. So like this is why I'm that's what frustrates me about it is just the whole structure of this in the first place makes zero sense. Even if we
well,
did win this US Open Cup, we didn't play half of Major League Soccer. It wasn't even an option for us.
the conspiracy theory is so Seba can hold on to that goal scoring record.
If that's it, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so congratulations, long live that record. Oh man. So let's talk a little bit about the US men's national team. One big news, big news. They're coming to the Subaru Park November 15th. River End's pretty much sold out. I didn't get on it. I got to figure out what I'm doing. But they're gonna play Paraguay, in balmy November, so that'll be good. And Adam, the crisis is averted. The USA beats Japan 2-0. How do you, and now you spent your honeymoon in Japan. How do you say Dos Cicero in Japanese?
My wife was the one who actually took the Duolingo Japanese courses. I was too busy trying to get my Italian citizenship. That's now not an option for me for other reasons. But anyway, yeah, I mean, look, do I feel slightly better about the US national team? Absolutely not. Why would I? I mean, that's a good win, though. It is a good win. Japan's a good squad. Historically, it's been a great time. The Samurai Blue have been one of the best teams in Asia for a while, and I think to get your get back, that's a good win. All right. Like I can't poo-poo every time we compete, especially if they do something okay. Um, we kind of have to do this off of our own soil eventually, right? Like I know the World Cup is in America, so technically no, but like I think bringing everyone to our country and only occasionally beating these guys is getting a little weird for me. Like I feel like we get more tested if we left soil. I don't know. I'm not sure what the protocol is for a host nation when they're about to have a World Cup. Just do they never leave their country again after that? I don't know, but that it's just weird right now.
Well, the
Is
weird thing is the rosters, the next camp it starts October 6th. So rosters got to come in. We got to figure out what Ponch is going to do. And the only comfort I have is I'm waiting for Seba to tell us a story about the 1998 French team and correlate that to the US team so we feel better about this squad.
Yeah, you will wait for beginning of next year, with plenty of time left. Just enjoy the win against Japan and enjoy the game at home. There's a concussion talking from Adam right now. He's trying to find like anything he can to dislike his national team.
I do.
Yeah. And,
I
and, and speaking of the national team and World Cup, tickets were made available via lottery for Visa card holders. I haven't seen anything. I'm signed up for it. I haven't gotten any info. I have no idea. I don't know anybody that's gotten a ticket yet. But apparently tickets are going out for the World Cup, so keep signing up to FIFA.com and all that kind of stuff. Now, in news, the New England Revolution have parted ways with their head coach, Khalid Porter. And you know who they're talking to? Adam, have you heard this rumor?
uh
Jim Jim.
yeah,
Jim
one
Jim.
Jimothy Curtin. Is that
One James Curtin, one James T. Curtin from Star Trek fame. So yeah, that's the rumor that Jim's talking to them, and I gotta say, that's a fire. That's like a dumpster fire. If I'm Jim, I'm like, no, I go to Kansas City before I would go to New England. So,
I
but your thoughts on Jim going to New England?
I mean, he could be a good fit for him. He can turn this thing around. It's been pretty much a shit show over there for a couple of seasons now. They have pretty much nothing to play. Even if they're still technically in a playoff possibility, but if we after we beat them this weekend, they're gonna be out of the playoffs. So it could be like a good 3, 4 game for him to see what's going on and want to build for next year. But yeah, I mean he knows the area, he knows the club. They have a stadium coming hopefully soon.
Oh, get out of
But
here. No, come on. No way.
but yeah, I mean it's definitely like a club who spend money on their coach and everything. So if he was saying about that because he was saying that we didn't spend much money here anymore, so he could maybe get the roster he wants.
Well, hopefully he gets some of that Bill Belichick money, just get the bag, Jim, get the bag. But speaking of New England, Adam, do you want to lead us off?
I mean,
We got New England this weekend, baby. Come on.
first
This
off,
is this
I
is who
mean,
we needed to play.
oh, this. I really hope this is a palate cleanser for us after the last couple of matches, and I think especially at home, I think it has the potential of being one. Here's the thing, and this is really what I need to point out. Uh, that's I think one of the worst jobs in MLS right now, and the reason why I believe it's one of the worst jobs in MLS is I just you get to a point where you look at a club and you don't really know what the direction of them is, you know. And I'm not sure if you notice this as a player, Seba, when you're playing against some of the these kind of rudderless clubs that kind of have these roster configurations and just random signages and all of that. Like I look at New England as all of the potential in the universe, yet I just don't know if the people at the top would, work well enough with Jim to get them into a position like that. And I think does he really want to do another project? Like he's established himself as a good enough manager to not require to build something from scratch. I feel like he is good enough to wait for something more lucrative to show up because there could be like the LA Galaxy gig coming up in a couple of years if they finally give that up. Much more. They have their like they that seems like a much more profitable idea. Or there's a lot of other moments. I like the idea of Jim getting another shot in MLS because he deserves it, obviously, but just New England just feels like such a like after a man who was being sought after by a club like Cincinnati, for him to go to New England would just feel such like a letdown for his potential as a manager. But for a preview of the match, yeah, look, I think the Union have a get back game here coming. I think this is a classic opportunity now after, okay, cool. Pressure's off now from the US Open Cup. You don't have to worry about traveling to Minnesota or Austin for a final in a couple of weeks and rotating rosters again. You can just focus on accumulating as many points as possible to maintain your lead and win a trophy. Uh, if I don't know if these guys are going to dwell too much on since Nashville. I hope they haven't, and I hope if they can use it as fuel at worst, but completely forget about it at best, and take it to New England. I think this is an opportunity to again flex why you are and have been one of the best teams in Major League Soccer this whole year. We keep saying, everything from here is almost gangbusters from what the expectations of this club was. But now the expectations have shifted. You've proven that you're good enough. So now stomp the inferior and keep it moving.
Yeah, New England's sitting at 11th place, 32 points. Seba, I mean, what's your scouting report on New England and what do we need to do to make sure we get the 3 points and come out and get the bad taste out of our mouth?
I think they just need to focus on themselves, forget about who New England is, where, just brings this game like it's a playoff game, brings the energy and everything will take care of themselves, I think. New England don't play for much. The guys are pretty much playing for their job next year, whoever is the head coach, Jim or somebody else, to show that they can have a part of this team next year because a lot of change will happen in this team for sure. And yeah, it's don't play is what I say in the show today. It's like don't play at the level of the opponent. Raise the bar. Don't hang to a 1-0 lead. Let's just keep going and make it like a good comeback after a poor week and attack the last four game of the season like the strong way because yeah I think we play DC in DC who is a game we need to win as well. They have nothing to play for, so it will be kind of almost the same type of game, but one away, one at home. And then you have New York City AFC at home, who will feel more like a playoff game because they are in a playoff right now, and then Charlotte at the end. So can we go to Charlotte and be in front and like having a little bit of caution, or do we have to go there and try to get a win on the last game and it will really feel like a playoff game, which is what I like at the end. It's like you go to Charlotte feeling that it's a big playoff game before the playoff, but New England is like it's a win. It's a 3 points. You don't have the 3 points, it's a disappointment.
Yeah, and you touched on the schedule. It's New England, it's DC. You're looking at 6 points there. Then it's New York City, and then Charlotte, who's sitting in third. So yeah, I think we definitely want to bank on getting 3 points
Yeah, and
out of
I
this
think like
upcoming game.
the maybe the win this weekend, I will have to look again at the standing, but could almost or be close to get like a home advantage playoff game as well, which I think it's like always the first objective of Bradley Carnell, like the way he has been working, and I saw it a bit. It's like, he gives goals to the team, and they have kind of always like a stretch of 4 or 5 games, and I think they're probably going to those five like those four last game and like, okay, what do we want to accomplish? How many points we want to get? Let's get, first objective is, playoff. We got the playoff. Now, can we have a home advantage? Boom, they're going to go to the home advantage hopefully after Saturday. And then it's like, all right, the last one is win the shield, and be the highest possible in the standing. So, yeah, I like that game against New England because it can really bring back momentum to the team.
Totally agree. I mean, we had two rough games. Now we've got two that we should handle our business. And then we're going to see about New York City and Charlotte to end this year. And I mean, weather for this Saturday looks beautiful. Seba, you're calling this game, right? Adam, you think you're going to be able to make it there?
I do not. I tried really hard, but I think now that I'm gently concussed, it's probably better if I just chill out here for a while, especially with like the importance of these games, you know how I go. Harder than your average. So I think protect
I'm
myself here.
I'm
But
going to try to sneak this game on my phone when I'm in the Wiesn tent. So we're going to see what happens. But yeah, hopefully we do what we're supposed to do and we win this game against New England and we end the season strong and come out with some hardware.
yeah.
Guys, anything else that you can think of before we wrap this up?
Yes, just reminding every fans that the game is at 2:30 p.m. and not 7:30. So different, kickoff time as well, which, can maybe change a little bit on the way you prepare. But for all the fans, get there early, it'll be fun. It's great to bring the kids at that game, and hopefully we see another great win.
See, I was going to say it was great for some Saturday day drinking, but now you're bringing the kids involved.
I mean, I'm
I
a family
don't
guy.
I don't know what has changed by you saying kids were coming. I'm still day drinking. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, everybody get the day drinking on. Make sure Subaru Park is a fortress. Make New England feel unwelcome because, that's what we got to do to win this. Gentlemen, thank you so much. By the way, guys, congrats. This was episode number 50. We're
Woo!
getting an AARP card for this pod
Damn,
now. Yeah.
that's funny.
So everybody, thanks again for tuning in. Seba, Adam, thanks for being part of this. This was X's in the U, episode number 50 in the books. And let's go Union. Take care of New England. Have a good one, guys. Thanks.